Hey crafty friends, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be making a fun Halloween card creating a spooky background. And for our focal point, we're going to be using the Penny Black, what's this one called? Hocus Pocus stamp set. We're going to be using that. And we're going to be using the layered full moon stencil from Spellbinders, which I think is currently sold out. But if I can find, I'll find something similar and link that. We're also going to be using the stencil from, this is the Swirling Stars stencil from Hero Arts. We're going to be using the stitch die set, alphabet dies from my stash. I'm going to be working on some mixed media heavyweight paper from scrapbook.com. And then I have a piece of red violet cardstock that I'm going to use for die cutting also. We're going to be coloring with Olo markers today. We're also going to be doing some ink blending with Distress Oxides inks. I've pulled out Villainous Potion, Spice Marmalade, Picked Raspberry, Seedless Preserves, Blueprint Sketch, and Black Soot. We're also going to be using some Peeled Paint and Rustic Wilderness, along with the Grassy stencil from Lawn Fawn and the Cloudy stencil from Lawn Fawn. We're going to be using those also, if Rick doesn't lose them. So we're going to move our inks out of the way for a little bit. And our dies, we're not going to need those yet. We're going to work on, we're going to go ahead and stamp out our image. We're also going to be using Perfect Pearls in the color Perfect Pearl, and then the Sunflower Sparkle, and some white pigment ink. And I forgot to pull Weathered Wood. I forgot to pull that. I'll need that. So we're going to get started with stamping. So I've got my 110 pound piece of hammer mill cardstock. And there are two more stamps for this that go with this. I don't have those. I need to get those because it's the other two sisters. And they're quite funny looking. All right, so I'm gonna ink this up in Tuxedo Black ink because we're gonna do alcohol marker coloring in a little while. Apparently, I have a defective stamp. All right, so I will show you how I'm going to fix that. It's going to take a Pitt Artist pen and fill in those lines. So if you ever have that problem, just take a alcohol marker friendly pen and just fill in the line. So no biggie. I will have to send that back. So I'm gonna let that ink dry a little bit and I'm gonna work on my background panel. All right, I've attached my heavyweight cardstock mixed media paper down to one of my sticky mats, and I'm going to take my lunar stencil. And again, I believe this, everywhere I've checked today, this was sold out. So I will have another stencil linked in the description. So to help you out. So I'm gonna line that up. And I need mint tape. I'm gonna run some mint tape across the top here, along the bottom, and on our two sides. And that's just to hold my stencil in place on the cardstock, basically, because it's a smaller stencil, so that's why I'm doing that. All right, I'm going to use a foam blending tool and some Versamark ink. You can use whatever embossing ink you have. And I'm just going to press this on. We're starting with the moon first. And then I will add other things to it. I'm just pouncing that on, making sure it's got nice, good coverage. And I'm going to peel my stencil up for this step. I'm going to move this out of the way, move my stencil, and I'm going to take my Perfect Pearls in the color of Perfect Pearls. I'm going to pick a little bit up on my brush. And this brush I ordered separate because I could not find the original brush that I got. You can use any soft brush. So we're going to take and move that pigment around. And I'm going to move off all the excess. You also have a medium that comes with it when you buy the kit. All right, now for our next layer, I'll layer this on. And we're going to go back to our Versamark. And even though the ink is being picked up, the Perfect Pearl gets picked up a little bit. You can see it moving around on the stencil and everything. It's not going to bother anything. All right, for this layer, I'm going to add in the gold. And it should only stick to where the Versamark is. And if it mixes in with the other, I'm fine with that too. All right, I'm going to spritz this with a little water. That should set our Perfect Pearls, and we're gonna dry that. All right, I've pulled in my sticky mat again. I'm gonna go ahead and reassign or reattach my paper. And then I'm going to lay on our next layer of our stencil. I'm going to tape that into place using my mint tape just to make sure it's nice and secure. And I'm trying to mask off the other sides. All right, there's our last piece. And I'm going to come in with some weathered wood. And I'm just going to pounce this right on top. You can see our spooky little moon taking shape. I'm going to hit that with my heat tool. All right, we're going to add our last layer of the stencil. And then this time I'm going to come in with some white pigment ink. And add in the last layer. So I'm going to go ahead and just dry it. We're going to place our panel back down. And I'm going to take my mask and lay on top. I'm going to take my cloudy stencil and fill in this potion. I'm going to ink blend some clouds back here in the background. I'm going to switch to Blueprint Sketch. We're going to add some seedless preserves. And then some spice marmalade down here. Set those to the side. Then I'm going to add a little bit of color on the outside. I have our little moon like it's peeking out there. I can also take my mask, lay on here, add a bit of glow around the moon. Anyway, everything looks like it's all together. I'm going to put that back in place. Lay on my little starry background here. And I'm going to add a little bit of that on there. Just like so. All right, now I'm going to come in with my grassy stencil, put that in place. And then I really want this just to focus on in a certain area, like it's being lit. I'm gonna add the rustic wilderness over on this side. And then my crackling peeled paint. I can kind of pull it down here. Blend those back together. So now we got that beautiful, like the moon is hitting it and pulling it out. Light, that's the word I'm looking for, light. Let's see, we're going to take our stencil, line this back up. I'm just going to push a little color right under there. To kind of finish that off. All right, so there's this spooky little sky with our moon that has its own little glow. I'm going to set that to the side for a minute, and we're going to work on our coloring. All right, we're going to start off by coloring with our flesh tones. And I'm using my Olo markers today, so I'm just going to add a little bit of shadow here. There. Her little neck. We'll blend that out. I'm going to switch to OR20. As my lightest color. And I'm just going to blend that out the rest of the way. I'm going to color up with the broomstick now. I'm going to use OR38 as my darkest color. And OR37 as the lightest on the broom. It's also going to be our darkest here. Just going to flick out some color. Then I'm going to use YO27 and YO25. It's my lightest. Here's our broom. All right, for her hair, I'm going to use YO27 in the darkest area. Then YO25. O25, and that other one was OR027. Then I'm going to go to O24 and finish everything out. Then I can come back with the O27 and add in a little bit more where I think it needs it. And same thing with the O25. Let's color our dress. We'll do the inside parts first. For that, I'm going to use G17 as my darkest color. So I'm going to add that down through there. And then we're going to switch to G15. And then go to G14. Just going to add the G14 up through here. And flick up a little G15. And if you're not sure how to color your image, you can always check the back of your packaging. There's always pictures on there. Especially with the penny black stamps, there's always a photo that's colored. All right, for my dress, we are going to do a 4-color blend. We're going to go with V28 as the darkest. I'm just coming in all the way through, adding where I want that to be the darkest. All right, now we're going to switch to V26. Add in some of that. Blend out my shadows. Just flicking that color up in to my scene, or to my dress. Then I'm going to switch to V24. Coming over, just adding in that color. And making it look kind of witchy. And I'm going to use V23 as my lightest color. All right, we're going to come back to our green for a second. I'm going to add a little down here with just the G17 and G15. All right, for the trim on the dress, I'm going to use the Y027 and the Y025. And I'm going to put those where I want them to be the darkest. Maybe like right along there. It's going to be a little shadow. Technically right along that side. All right, we're going to blend that out with the Y25. I'm going to add a little bit more detail to this in a minute after we get completely done. Then blend that out. And then we'll add that to her earrings. All right, so there's my coloring complete. I'm going to fussy cut this out and I will be right back. All right, I have her all cut out now, and I'm going to take my tuxedo black marker and go around the edge. That way it will hide any imperfections. And clean everything up. So we're just gonna go from the back. Clean up all our little edges, and I will do this now that you've seen how to do it. I'll finish the rest of this off screen and be right back. All right, I've got all of the edges done, and I'm going to kind of set this on here, and I'm going to cut out my sentiment next. So I'm going to take my stitch dies, and I'm actually going to cut these out twice. I'm going to cut my sentiment out twice. I'm going to have a shadow layer and the focal layer. So I'm going to go ahead and attach this to my card front. I can do the whole thing, or I can trim it down. I think we're going to trim it down so that we have a nice border. All right, now I've got my top folding A2 card base, and then I've got my panel here. I'm going to mat that. using that same red violet cardstock that we've already used. All right. Let's go ahead and layer up our pieces. I'm going to take and pop our little wedge up. Just gonna put some foam tape on her. All right, I've got my foam tape on. I'm gonna go ahead and peel off all those backings and be right back. All right, we've got our foam tape on. We're gonna add a little liquid glue just so we can have a little wiggle room. There we go, we got her down. Now we're gonna add our sentiment together. So now you have to make a choice. Do you want to do the black shadow, drop shadow, or do the colored drop shadow? All right, I'm leaning more towards the red violet on top, but I think we can get away with doing both. What I'm going to do is take and stack these together and kind of to the right a little bit down. All right, let's go ahead and glue down our letters. I'm going to stagger them just for a little added extra interest. All right, to finish this off, I'm going to add a few gel pen highlights. And I've got to finish my other little detail also. Add a little black turquoise gel pen to her eyes. And then to finishing touch, I'm going to come in with a gold gel pen and add little dots of gold to her dress. So it has that little bit of sparkle. Right along there on the little buttons or brads. It's subtle, but it will add that little extra pop. And touch of drama to her outfit and to your card. All right, there's my finished spooky nighttime scene sky card. I hope you'll give a closer look into the mirror. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys over in the next video.